Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm so glad that you're here today. This is The Joy Show, and I'm your host, Barbara Schreiner Trudell, and I am delighted that you decided to join us today. This show is all about just being you, just one you. So important that we come to love and accept ourselves as we are, where we are, with whatever's going on for us. Well, let us begin in a conscious way by sharing the land acknowledgement. We work, live, and play on the historical and traditional territory of many First Nations. And as we gather on Turtle Island, we as settlers are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, including the Métis, Inuit, and all other Indigenous people. Also, acknowledging that as we continue to grow and expand on these lands, there is still unresolved and dangerous inequality and discrimination toward our BIPOC and 2S LGBTQ plus family. And by making these acknowledgments, we strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation. We recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. For we are one. Well, today my guest is a remarkable, remarkable woman. Her name is Rhonda Schlanger, and she is a certified mindfulness instructor who has practiced meditation for close to 50 years. She was introduced to this practice in 2011, transforming her life and taking her to Thailand numerous times, where she had the privilege of learning how many highly respected monks and learning from highly respected monks and master teachers. She participates annually in silent retreats to strengthen her devotion. After fulfilling career in primary education, Rhonda now devotes her time to teaching through her company, Mindfulness and the Lotus. She also is a recurring guest instructor for the Mindfulness Society of Canada, a nonprofit organization providing free weekly meetings for mindfulness-related teachings and guided meditations. And I have done a couple of those. Rhonda recently added a new branch to her offerings, which she calls Metamorphoses. Metta is a loving kindness practice based on Buddhist teachings, creating transformation, bringing us to a more compassionate heart for ourselves and others. Rhonda's passion for helping others led her to becoming both a Reiki Master and a sound healer, and she regularly leads sound bath healing sessions using crystal healing bowls. And she does these in a public and private setting, in person and online. And I attended one of those, and I will tell you, it was absolutely stellar. I've never been so relaxed in my whole life. Welcome, Rhonda. I am so glad you could join us.
I'm overjoyed with that. Welcome. Thank you so much, Barbara, for having me.
Oh, so grateful that you're here. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this whole meditation thing and how you got to be you.
Oh my goodness. How I got to be me. Well, I had the good fortune of growing up. I actually, it was in Montreal, and my dad is an architect, and he was under a lot of stress, and he was a very young dad in
Mhm.
his very, very early 30s. And he had, when he had me, so when he was in his, when I was about 14 years old, my dad was under a lot of stress, and he decided that he was going to take meditation as a stress release program. And he asked me if I wanted to join alongside him. And of course, I said yes, not really knowing what it was all about, but just to have that special opportunity to be with my dad and just explore something new. So off the two of us went, and we began a lifelong journey of meditation. My dad is close to 89. He's watching right now. And
Yay.
I call him the poster boy for what meditation can do for you. Because if we all had the mind as sharp as he does, and just being able to deal with lots of life's ups and downs, as we had
All
huge
do.
ups and downs as we all do in life.
Mm.
But it was the way that he learned to navigate them through having this ability to meditate.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it began. And I absolutely adored having the skill of meditation. It took me to great places. I was not the coolest kid on the block because it kept me away from any drugs or alcohol, because if stress came by, all I needed to do was just find myself in a place, and for 20 minutes, as long as I had me, and it didn't even have to be silent. We learned how to do it. We learned transcendental meditation as our
Yeah.
beginning. And so we were taught to even be on a bus and be able to meditate. So I could meditate and I would feel automatically much better. If you've had the joy of meditating in your life, you know that, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It really makes a difference. I remember years ago when I was a youth, um, not minister, but practitioner in a center in Calgary. And we took 4 youth down to San Francisco. I think it took us about 3 days to drive there. And we were going to a youth retreat. And we would get up we'd stay in the hotel overnight, and then we'd hop in the van in the morning and start driving again. And I'd be in between all these teenage boys. And I'd go into my meditation, and they would be like, how do you do that? They got the radio on, they're being noisy, but it doesn't, it's irrelevant
Yes, very
because
much
it's an
so.
inner personal journey. It doesn't require silence.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So it's a beautiful, beautiful, way to relieve stress. The only problem that happened, though, was you could meditate and you come out all zen, but then the minute the phone rings, or the minute the door opens, or the minute you turn on the radio, or you turn on the television, or you walk out into the street, that zen can be gone very, very quickly, such as
Yes.
life. This is what
Yeah.
life is. So I continued on this journey of meditating, and then one day I was at a friend's cottage, and I just crossed paths literally with somebody who was visiting at the same place I was. And for whatever strange reason, I declared, I said, pardon me, I'm just going off to meditate. I never make that announcement to anyone, but in that moment I did. And she
Yeah.
said to me, oh, you should come with me. I have a teacher. And the first lesson is free, and it's on Mondays. And I thought, why would I need a teacher? I've been meditating all of these years, right?
Yeah.
And so I thanked her so much. I went off quietly. I did my meditation. I came back, spent the weekend, and it was a very, very stressful time in my life. Actually, one of my closest friends was actually very, very ill at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, when I got back into the city on the Sunday, I called this girl, and incidentally, her name is Joy.
Well,
And I said, you know what? I've had a second thought. I'd like to join you. And I did. And it changed the course of my life.
wow.
Because
Yeah.
what happened was, I met Jess Kaufman, who became my teacher, but he started us on the meditation route and then brought in the mindfulness component, which I had never had in my life.
Oh, wow. And mindfulness is so powerful as we pay attention to what it is we're thinking and doing, because all these words have power. The thoughts we have are creating our lives. So tell us a little bit about the mindfulness.
Oh, so that was the game changer, right? Because I no longer, now it's not a slow process. I've been in it for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm very, very dedicated. As you mentioned, I've been to Thailand 4 times before the pandemic. I went every year.
Yeah.
And I do silent retreats, the longest one being up to like 8 days, very often 3 days, 5 days, 8 days. And what came to be is that we learn, of course, that metaphor of Thich Nhat Hanh is like learning to live like a lotus amongst the mud, which motivated me to call my company Mindfulness in the Lotus.
Yeah.
And we know, it's nothing that I invented. It's a very, very famous phrase, but it really, it gave it encapsulated what it's all about. that life is the journey through the mud, and that lotus has to push its way and journey through and live alongside the mud. And
Okay.
really, that's what I learned how to do. I no longer had to escape. And it was a very, very fascinating process, because the natural inclination is to push down whatever is bothering you, right?
Resistance, resistance,
Right.
resistance.
Push it
Yes.
down. We live our life in distraction, beautiful things,
Yeah.
even wholesome things like meditation. If all we're doing is meditation to run away from what's there and suppressing what's there,
Yeah.
we're actually creating greater sense of suffering without realizing it.
That's
So
right. Resistance. Whatever you resist persists.
exactly. And then
Boy.
it's the vices and our devices, right, that we cling to, and then those we hide in them. And then that is what exponentially builds on this growing anxiety that we're keeping to push down. And we know in society the explosion of, anxiety disorder, panic attacks, of which I had many. Um, and when we learn mindfulness, we learn to be with what is, and we learn to not be afraid.
Yes. And not to judge it.
Mm.
It's like that story of the farmer, where a horse comes onto the property and the neighbor goes, "Well, you're so lucky." And he goes, "I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no." And then the son goes to ride the horse and falls off and breaks his leg. And the other farmer goes, "Oh, that's such bad luck." And he goes, "Oh, maybe yes, maybe no." That idea of we never know what's good and bad.
Right.
We label things or judge things based on this our human egoic perception of reality and what makes us comfortable.
Very much so. Very, very
Hmm.
much so. So this journey then became one of mindfulness where I met, some of the most wonderful people, because,
Yeah.
you know, who you hang out with, what we think we become, the people that we're with either raise us, our vibration, or bring us to a lower vibration.
Yeah.
So the good fortune I had of meeting a most wonderful teacher and getting involved then in committing to a life practice, with a very supportive family,
Nice. Yes.
who there for me to journey on as I have. And then I was able to meet these wholesome people, live this life, became an instructor, and at the same time, I met up with Reiki.
Hmm.
So Reiki being the healing energy.
Yeah.
And as I even say those words, I say them slowly because they are so sacred to me. Each
Yes.
part of my journey has been very, very sacred.
Hmm.
Um, so shall I continue on my Reiki, or shall I continue talking about my mindfulness? I'm trying.
Well, it all kind of works together. So share a little bit about the Reiki experience as well.
So in 2014, which was before I even went on my first trip to Thailand, I began the journey of Reiki energy healing. I was
Hmm.
not someone that I would have considered to be a spiritual person at all. It was all so brand new to me. I had no idea
Yeah.
what this was. It was, and I met so many people along the journey who were so aware, who had grown up with this kind of awareness and realization of spirit and energy. For me, it was something completely, completely foreign. And it was very exciting. It was a slow journey for me. It took me
Hmm.
about 8 years until I became a Reiki Master, of
Hmm.
which I did get there, and I just absolutely adore it.
Yeah.
And then I um, fell into the whole healing of sound healing.
Yeah.
And that came about in that I was at a spa with one of my daughters before she was moving to the United States.
Yeah.
And I took each of my daughters away on a different spa experience. And I went to one at Grail Springs. And
Yeah.
when I was there, I heard the sound bowls, and
Well,
I just thought to myself, I will be doing that. And
yeah, they're amazing.
there it was.
Wow. Well, the sound bowls have a vibrational energy that you can't really describe it in words. You must experience it in order to fully feel. Because I know the meditation that I did with you, the sound bath that I did at your place was really, I mean, I had done with other people for sure. Wasn't the first time, but it had been a while since I had experienced a sound bath, and it was truly one of the best meditations I've had in a long time. Like it was, well, in fact, when you brought us back and you were talking about certain parts of the journey that you'd taken us on, I'm going, I don't even recall any of that. And I know I wasn't sleeping. I was very conscious of the room. I could hear the bowls, and yet there was something in it that allowed me to go into a truly surrendered place. And I think that's one of the greatest things we can do is to surrender our resistance, our control, our desires for certain things to be certain ways. But that place of just being with what is, and you absolutely took me there,
Mm.
which I totally loved that experience.
So this is what I'm finding with the sound bowls. I didn't
Mhm.
realize it at the time. I was a little worried about it being maybe a fluffy experience, maybe a spa-like experience when I started. And I kind of wondered what
Mm.
my meditation teacher would think, because he's very, very wholesome, and we have one of um, the most evolved spiritual living beings, Longpor Pramot Pamojo, in Thailand. And
Mhm.
I was kind of wondering what he would be thinking about this.
Yeah.
And he experienced it with me, and I was very nervous that day. He came to the same setting that you enjoyed, Barbara.
Yeah.
And he said to me afterwards, it is such a powerful, it's a gateway to spirituality, and that he
Mhm.
really wanted me to make sure that I really extended this very as far wide as I can, not
Yeah.
just to meditators, even to non-meditators,
Absolutely.
because it gives them a taste to see and feel that there's something beyond. And I was so touched by those words, a gateway to spirituality. And I
I love that.
realized, yeah, and I realized that it all came together. And
Yeah.
so then with my Reiki, and I love giving Reiki, but what I realized, you know how you mentioned that it took you to another dimension?
Yes.
It, I find that it takes people to a dimension so quickly that if I'm to give a Reiki treatment, maybe it might be when I'm down into the lower chakras that somebody can feel the release and let go, depending on where their energy is really blocked. But
Yeah.
I find that if I augment my Reiki by beginning with sound bowls, so I have the studio room that
Yeah.
is transformed with my massage table and my sound bowls. And as they lie down, I begin with a sound bowl experience. And so by the time I get to place my hands on, the energy has transcended so deeply that they're moved on another level, that they're surrendering and opening and allowing each of these chakras for whatever needs to be energized and brought and cleared. We're
Yeah.
already there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that completely. That was my experience, and I've had a couple of, interesting experiences when it comes to energy and where it can go. This was, and I had done, you know, sound baths in Calgary before moving here in the 1990s, and loved it. They were great, great meditations. We would gather. There's usually 20 or 30 people, and we get this beautiful experience of the bowls. And they have a way of shifting our energy so quickly and so easily into a place of, because at that time relaxation was something I couldn't really do.
Hmm.
It was, but the bowls would take me there just so fast, so fast. Well, that's exciting. Now you offer these ongoing, these sessions
Yes, I
or
do.
groups.
Yes, I do. So I have some in like locally where I live in near North York, and then I have some in a Thornhill location, and then some online. So there's
Yeah.
all kinds of offerings, and then of course I have the offering where I do the Reiki with sound bowls as well in my Thornhill location, and
Yeah.
then I teach. So and I can talk maybe a little bit about the metamorphosis that you had
Yeah,
mentioned.
let's talk about that. Yeah.
So what I realized is as I look back and I listen to all of my, my students, some of whom have been following me for about 8 years now,
Yeah.
I realized that there was one thing that really was, I could see it in myself and I could see it in all of my students. And that was a metamorphosis, a change.
Yeah.
And it came to me one day that the word metta, Metta, is the Pali word, which means loving kindness.
I love that. I love that.
And so I branched out into, I teach mindfulness in a very authentic way, closest to the Buddhist teachings as I can. I
Yeah.
humbly ask for these teachings to
Yeah.
stream through me. And then I also just branched off now into this loving kindness practice, metta, inviting through the lens of the Buddhist teachings, the metamorphosis by opening our heart, by changing the scape within this heart, and then allowing the wisdom and insights of mindfulness and the combination of the two
Mhm.
practices being transformative, bringing us to our highest self. And then the interesting thing for me about that is that I then realized, in a sense, what I'm doing is I'm asking for a guidance and leading people to raise their own vibration, right?
Mhm.
So now we've got the meditation, we've got the mindfulness, we've got the Reiki, which is energy, and we've got the sound bowls, and they are all vibration of
Yeah.
different levels, all coming together.
Mm.
And it was just the most
Beautiful.
beautiful, I guess, marriage of all of these things coming together that allowed me as a vehicle to be able to have these offerings. So now my students, it's more, whereas I was teaching maybe from a downward model,
Mhm.
now it is a model where we all have the background information.
Yeah.
And now it's more of a facilitation and the
Good.
facilitation, and then including always these kinds of healings, bringing it back to our own heart
Yeah.
and guiding us for inner compassion and then the outer compassion and connectivity to all beings.
That's beautiful because if we don't have it, we can't give it.
Mhm.
Um, we've got to learn how to love ourselves. I heard somebody recently say that the world is difficult because of the self-hatred of
Mhm.
individuals. Because until we open our hearts, until we decide that kindness and love, and by love I mean acceptance of all that is. For me, it's a love means oneness, and you got to be accepting, but it starts here. If I don't accept me, if I don't love me, I really have nothing to give to you. Which, of course, we need that in order to create a world that is powerful and productive for all life, not just people, but all life. I think there has to be a shift in consciousness, and I love what you're doing because that's exactly what you do. Is you give people the place where they can gently
Mhm.
begin to make that metamorphosis, that
Exactly.
transformation.
And I love that you brought that point up about self hatred, because the interesting thing is for me, The practice of metta is one. It's a systematic practice of well wishes towards oneself,
Yeah.
towards those who are easiest to love,
Yeah.
towards those who are peripheral in our lives. And the fascinating thing for me is it brings those that are in the shadows up into the light,
Yeah.
the shopkeepers, the people who make our life run that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Then we move to those who are most difficult in our lives to energetically connect with. And and then we offer that loving towards all living beings,
All
all
beings.
beings, including the smallest insect, anything that we call it a sentient being, so anything with life.
Yeah.
So the fascinating thing for me is when we go on this, it's not rote words that we say. We're really trying to embed this in our heart, not as words that
Yeah.
we say. We don't even need the words. We try to transcend to a feeling within the heart.
Yeah.
In starting with ourselves, what I found with many of the people who join me, they have no trouble offering it outwards. It's that inwards that is their greatest
Yeah.
challenge.
The greatest difficulty is being okay with who we actually are
Yeah,
and loving ourselves as we are, where we are, with every mistake we've ever made,
right.
and to be able to honor the path that brought us to this moment. Well, on that note, we're going to take a little commercial break. It's just about the halfway point of our show. Well, everybody, you're watching The Joy Show, and I am really excited that Rhonda Schlanger is with me today. And we're talking about sound baths and mindfulness and all kinds of good, yummy stuff. So we'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away. Bye for now.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
And we're back. So we've been talking about mindfulness and sound baths and just all kinds of yummy good stuff. And we just finished talking about the idea of self-love and the importance of that. And can you share a little bit about how you assist people in getting to that place of accepting themselves as they are?
Sure. It's a journey that they have to find for themselves. It's
Mhm.
mostly creating the space
Yeah.
and creating a community of like-minded people who think, who are given the tools of mindfulness,
Mhm.
of being able to learn to see the thoughts. So mindfulness is really the basis for it all
Yeah.
in the way that I approach things. And so the mindfulness gives us the ability to separate out and to be able to see, here are the thoughts, here are the feelings, and here is the physical body. what goes in the mind can be seen through the physical body. We know disease, dis-ease, a lot of it is the emotional connection to our thinking and that creating illness within. So we learn how to separate out and see our thoughts, see what we're believing, and being able to then step back and see, are they true? Are they the tracks that we have joined on because of a lifetime, whatever circumstances got us there? And the thing with it is we have no direction to go in other than follow those thoughts unless we stop and we train the mind. And the train the mind is to see the thoughts, not to stop them, not to change them, and not to push away the feelings associated with them.
That's big.
Right?
Yes.
So it's opening up that cork and allowing the stuff to spill out, but in a very gentle, gentle way.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's frightening for people. So we give the space to be able to do that. And within time, people come to the realization that the thought was there. And if I didn't try to push it away or cork it down or hide from it, it's got a quick expiry date.
It's super quick.
It does. We may re-enter that thought one moment later.
Yeah.
But the minute something else happens and our mind goes somewhere else, we're into a new thought, and then we may come back. So we have to train this mind of ours to see the flow of thoughts and to notice. It's the noticing, the awareness. Once we begin to do that, then we have the opportunity to, I'm not saying to rewrite. We don't need to rewrite anything because it's all part of us. Yeah. All of these feelings, the wholesome ones, the unwholesome ones, they're just moments that happen.
Yeah.
Part of a lifetime of moments. If we are looking under the false assumption that we're going to get to that point where it's all going to flow just like this, we're setting ourselves up for more pain, right?
Yeah, we are. We are. Yeah, I tell people all the time, life is a journey without a destination.
Right.
It's about being in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that self-love piece, when we have mindfulness and we're able to see what it is, we see it as something separate, a thought coming through. Mm-hmm. We can see the stories that we're telling ourselves. And I don't mean that we've made up a narrative about it. The story is the situation, the narrative of what has happened.
Yeah.
And we accept it for what it was. We may have come from very painful things, very unfair things within our life. Right? We can't change that. Yeah. But we acknowledge this is a moment of pain, right? And we accept that, we feel it. And this is where the self-care and self-love comes in.
Yeah.
Is accepting that this has happened, this is what it's and being okay with that.
Yeah.
And embracing it with often simply the hand on the heart space is that reminder, I'm here, it's tender. You used the word gentle before. Yeah. And that word gentle in all of this is paramount to treating ourselves with gentleness.
That's such an important thing. One of my favorite movies, the main character is always tapping his heart going, all is well. All is well. Just that reminder all the time, like no matter what the world is doing, no matter what's happening around us, we can react to it, or we can maintain our own sense of self and deal with and be with. And I think sometimes for me, when I feel pain in my body or something, rather than going, getting into the story of, oh, darn, it hurts, but rather to go into it and welcome it and just go, what is it that I really need? Like in my heart of hearts, what do I need right now? And it's never about a pill. It's always about just being with what is
Very nice.
and knowing that it's there. It is serving a purpose of some sort.
Mhm.
And that I think for me, suffering is my resistance to life,
Right.
creates that suffering. And the way we think, of course, fuels it.
Of course.
It really keeps it going. So I love this.
I want to
Yes.
get back to you asked me what can people do to
Hmm.
when they're struggling with the self-care piece.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my students, we actually say those words, may I be peaceful, may I be happy, may I be at
Yes.
ease, may I be free from suffering. And
Yeah.
we loop them as a meditation, as a formal meditation practice.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just ask people who are really struggling the most to um, to offer those words to themselves. But there have been other spiritual teachers who have given this piece of advice that I really like. It might have been Jack Cornfield, and that is, or maybe Sharon Salzberg, who are just beautiful leaders in this whole compassion element. And that is, if you can't offer those words to yourself, can you envision a person who loves you unconditionally or who
Mm,
has loved you unconditionally?
yes.
Maybe someone who's passed, a grandparent. And can you imagine the words that and their wishes that they would want for you? What would their
Yes.
heart be feeling for you? So if you cannot say those words to yourself as a wish from you, start through the mind's eye of a heart
Yeah.
that loves you fully and offer
Mm,
yourself those wishes.
that's beautiful.
And I had one student who did that, and she said to me, I couldn't say those words to myself. And then she went like this, but I could whisper them.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It just touched me beyond until she got to the point
Yeah.
where that offering, and it isn't even the words. You don't even need the words. It's
There you
just,
go.
how would they look at you? How would they greet you? What would the energy be like when you are in their space?
Oh,
So those are
that's
some offerings.
yeah, that's beautiful because that's one of the things that I've done is something that Louise Hay would do is have someone look in the mirror and say, I love you. Barbara, I love you. I love you. And I've worked with that. And, I get a little bit sad sometimes when I'm working with youth and I have them try to do that exercise.
Mm,
And they can stand in front of the mirror with tears pouring down their face, and they cannot say those words. So I love what you just shared because I think that's another level of, you know, who really loves you and what would they say to you? That's a really beautiful way to kind of begin that process
mhm.
because until we do that, our world will continue to be difficult and challenging. We individually must change in order for the world around us to be different.
Yes,
Love creates love.
yes.
That's that's the whole energy of it. Oh, this is so exciting. This is so
I love talking to you, Barbara, because I can just feel energetically, even that's the weird thing too about this whole online thing. It's amazing to be with people, but honestly, I can feel your energy and
yeah.
just in connecting with you in this way. It's a very beautiful way to spend time. So I so appreciate having this chance to
Oh,
talk.
well, thank you. It's interesting because it does go through. That's what's fascinating. I'm doing an online class tomorrow called Return to the One.
Mm,
And, it'll be an all day offering, but it's, having people come to that place. And you can do it online. It makes it, we can't physically touch, but we connect. And that's what's remarkable. Well, and with Reiki, you can do distance Reiki or whatever. And I do a practice called spiritual mind treatment, which is again a healing modality that to shift our consciousness. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what the time difference is, that if there's an agreement, we connect at that subjective level and the transformation takes place. And it's remarkable to see how we can work with each other in that place of loving acceptance. So exciting, so exciting. So tell me about learning the bowls, because we're going to do a sound bath in a couple of minutes here. What was it like to learn how to do that, that healing type work?
Okay. Well, it was something that I just did intuitively. So
Okay.
it was something that I just knew was in
Yeah.
me. I knew that it was there. I just needed the bowls, and I wanted those bowls so badly. And then COVID came, and I could not get those bowls.
Oh.
So, I'm gonna give a shout out to Denise from Sound Healing I believe it's in Beamsville.
Yeah.
And, Denise is extraordinary, and I made an appointment with her, and, instead of just sending you a generic set of bowls that refer to certain chakras, she worked with me to find what resonated within my heart.
Mm.
And so we sat and we listened to the different bowls and the different harmonies, and we built a set over 2 time periods, a year apart from each other. I started with 4 bowls, and then I just knew it wasn't the family yet, and I
Yeah.
needed to have
Yeah.
3 more.
Wow.
I waited another year, and then and I got the next 3. And so it was a matter of me sitting in my sacred space, playing and playing and playing. I didn't listen to anybody else because I didn't want to
Yeah.
be influenced by
Of
anyone.
course. Yes.
So I just intuitively played, and I have a daughter, actually. One of my daughters is a professional singer. So we sat and we actually did sort of some chanting to feel what would come naturally from me. And we just sort of improvised together.
Oh, I
And
love
that
that.
sort of encouraged me to use my singing voice with the bowls as well, which I'm
That's
sometimes shy to do, but people
yeah.
tell me that it's an offering that they've really been enjoying. So I
Mhm.
growing my confidence within that. And so that's how it came together for me.
Well,
Um,
I love that, Rhonda, because intuitively we know who we are.
mm,
And I often hear people say, well, I don't know what's mine to do, or I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I go, well, stop lying to yourself, because number one, you do know. And for some reason, we resist it. It's like, and I think it's that playing small or that self-loathing that prevents us from really blossoming and going, this is my gift.
mm.
And because we don't need to be trained to be who we are.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. And so you didn't need to be trained to
Yeah,
be a sound healer.
yeah,
You always were that.
yeah.
You found the modality in the moment that you were ready to accept the gift that you are,
Mm.
because you are truly a gift. And the word, I'll tell you, those bowls are truly transformative. And I'm so grateful you decided to come on the show today, because I think what you have to offer is really important for life on our planet at this time, as we begin to transition into a place of greater potential and possibility, a greater place of love. So I am really excited. We are going to let you get to your bowls, and we're going to take you out of the shot. And as Rhonda prepares to play this beautiful sound bath sample for us, I want you to take a moment to relax your body, to sit comfortably, maybe turn your volume up a little bit if you need to, and energetically just open your heart space so that you can receive this very precious offering that we're going to share with you today. This really is something that is transformative. And so let us get back to Rhonda. She is ready for us now. Rhonda, take it away, my dear.
Okay, so welcome to this opportunity for me to share sound healing with you all. And allow yourself to feel the support of whatever surface is beneath you, supporting you, holding you. And this mini opportunity for a little bit of taste of sound bath will be shared with a bit of guided meditation and instruction. Normally, we hear sound through our ears. But I'm inviting you to acknowledge this body as a vessel of energy and allow the sound to be felt and sensed through every cell within the body. With each breath that you take, inviting in a cleansing energy, and an exhale, allowing all of the negative, deep energy that's been stored, a route to escape. And we call this a sound bath because we allow ourselves to be bathed in the vibrational sounds. And as you get more comfortable, allow the breath to flow. You don't need to do the breath. The body knows how to breathe all on its own. Allow yourself to be carried away.
Rhonda, thank you.
And with that, take a nice deep breath. Bring a little bit of movement to the body.
Mm. So beautiful as an addition to any practice that we have. It's calming, and the sound really, I still had to be a little bit conscious of the show, but I was able to go and just be with that, and then I had to bring myself back. But it really is a beautiful, beautiful offering. And I'm so grateful you chose to come on the show today and share your remarkable gift.
Thank you.
And just to let people know again that intuitively, you know who you are.
Mm.
And all we have to do is be that.
Mhm.
If you were to leave people with one thing today, what might that be, Rhonda?
Mm. To listen to their heart, to listen to their heart, to be their guide, and to see all the layers that we've placed that may create boundaries, and learn to create expansion.
Mm.
And that expansion and generosity leads to generosity, which leads to compassion, which leads to connection, which leads to our highest good, no matter who we are. And
Exactly.
that extends into the world, and energetically we need each other. So
Oh, thank you. That you're so right. That absolutely is exactly it. I know in the work that I do as well, it's about connection. It's about people finding their voice, their life, listening to their heart, welcoming their journey, regardless of what it looks like. Because some of us have had pain. All of us, I think, have had pain, and so allowing it to not stop us on our journey, but rather open us up to even a bigger possibility or potential.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was wonderful to talk to you.
So
Great.
good to have you here. thornhillsoundhealing@gmail.com is how you can connect with Rhonda. And she'll be offering some online stuff soon. So if you're far away, just know you can still connect. Rhonda, bless you, bless you, bless you, my sister.
Thank you, Barbara, so much. And have a wonderful workshop tomorrow. Those lovely, lucky recipients tomorrow to be in your energy field.
Thank you. It's going to be beautiful. And for all of you watching, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you again next week with The Joy Show. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.